By the time the trailer for Fantastic Four First Steps was first released to the world, I think it was pretty clear to anyone, whether you've watched all the Fantastic Four movies before or if this is your very first time hearing about them, that this was going to be the best film to date for these characters. Everything churned to create an absolute hype machine for this movie. One, I'm happy to say the movie really does live up to. The film in its marketing is so clear on its push and theme of this being Marvel's first family, of not just being a team up of superheroes, not a random amalgamation of powers, but truly a group of people who love and care about one another in a way that is a little bit deeper than the Avengers, but with the general trend of Marvel's fan reception to their most recent projects being just kind of a roller coaster of emotions depending project to project, this movie was carrying more of a weight to it than a lot of other films have. First Steps was not only serving as the MCU's creation and introduction to these characters, a team-up film, a brand new universe, as well as the hopes of pretty much the entire fandom. Regardless of what this film heralds for the future of Marvel, it had a lot to juggle going into it. Let's start with those characters, because after having binged all the other films, don't worry, there's a vlog incoming for that, I can confidently say this is the first film that gets all four of the Fantastic Four right. Even though Johnny and Ben have been portrayed by Chris Evans and Michael Chiklis like perfectly in the past, like so iconically, there's something very muted about who these characters are in this Fantastic Four First Steps that really allows them to not just be these kind of individuals that stand out in a particular movie, but members of a family and of a team. Then we have Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, which is easily my favorite portrayal of him. You have the arrogance, the intelligence, the need for knowledge, whether that be actually helpful and something that he can control or not. You get to see this element of Reed being this person who understands science and the universe and kind of these uncomfortable truths about life as a superhero, as a defender of Earth, and as a husband, as a leader to this group. You see someone who has to think the worst case scenario, or who also realizes that the science is going to get figured out whether it's by him or not, so he might as well try to do it to harness it for good. And I just really love that they kind of nailed this sciencey professor, worried father combination in Pedro's performance. And then most importantly to me, honestly, not that I don't love the other characters, but Sue Storm has been done so dirty by these film adaptations of the Fantastic Four. Whether it's that she's completely knocked out during a battle, whether she is having to walk the streets of New York City naked because she can't figure out how to turn her clothes invisible, or just generally like not a part of the major aspects of the film, Vanessa Kirby's Sue Storm is the definitive version of Sue Storm. Say whatever you want about the other characters. They're muted, maybe they're off from a comic line you like, or maybe you just still really love Chris Evans' Human Torch. Don't worry, I do too. But with Vanessa Kirby's Susan Storm, you have every element of Sue that needs to be there. You have a little bit of the bubbliness that Jessica Alba tried to portray. With Kate Mara's intelligence, you get that added in here, and the feeling that this person is really kind of aware, maybe not of every element of science, but of kind of the consequence of the team's actions. But what's so crucial to this characterization of Sue Storm is that for the first time on screen in these movies, she is able to not only be a member of this team, but a wife and a mother, and you get to see the way that that impacts how she acts as a superhero. This film has such a love for her as a character, for her wit, for her beauty, for her power, for her general care for the other characters, as well as for her vulnerabilities, that she's not Wonder Woman, if you will. Like, she's not like bulletproof. She has powers and she knows how to use them, but those powers and her voice and her role on this team is made so much stronger by the fact that they are a family, by the fact that she has this nurturing and protective role. She has to be the person that keeps this team together because they can't go off on their own. They can't go rogue, whether it's saving the day going rogue or just being alone. Like, she is the heart of this film, and I'm not just saying that because it's like, yay, go girls, like we can be superheroes too. Sue Storm to me is just a character who is so well-rounded and that feels like she should be a real person, and this is the first movie to do it. So thank you to the writers, thank you to Vanessa Kirby for loving this character as much as so many people do, and for genuinely adding all aspects of her to this film in a way that I think makes the film so visceral. Because in some ways, if I'm being completely honest with you, this plot, I don't want to say it's simple. That feels like such a not nuanced look at the film, but it's a film where a problem is introduced at the beginning of the film and there's not a lot of twists or changes to that central issue. It's kind of one you just have to see through with the team. But because of the Sue Storm character, because of her specific role within this group, you feel viscerally like that you are a part of this team. Like you feel the emotions that they are going through. You understand the stakes because they are so personal while also being such a high-level threat, which is such a unique place for this film to function, because when we're talking about other origin films in the MCU, they're usually centered on a singular character. They made the bold decision to take 4 characters who, while they are not new to fans, are new to this universe, and to incorporate them and make them feel as fleshed out as if we've seen them at least twice. And I will say, there is a little bit when you walk away from this film that it's like, I can't give it the perfect 5 out of 5 stars. It's not the top of the MCU, but there is such a connection to these characters because of this film. Not just the knowledge I know from elsewhere, not just because I think it did a good job comparatively to something else, but because it introduces me to people that feel real, who have real struggles and challenges. And this is getting like way too intense, but basically I think they just really knew how to tell, with, for lack of better words, a simple story with these characters and have it mean so much. If we're talking about this movie now within the franchise, this takes place on Earth 828. It's told right up front of the movie. We all knew this, and it allows for a lot of fun visually because we have beautiful production design. We get to see a world that looks different, that feels different from our normal sacred timeline, New York, with Avengers Tower. Film pops. It is so colorful. This has to be Marvel's brightest, most beautiful, colorful film like to date. It's so gorgeous in that way. From their costumes, everything, every detail has been paid so much attention to create this fully fleshed out world, which again immerses us in these characters who have fought bad guys before, who have villains of their own, who are not fresh on the ground figuring out their powers day one. And so while we've, yes, played with the TVA before and we've seen a couple different universes in the multiverse, in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, here we get to actually exist in one and feel those differences, and that's so much fun, as well as the fact that it sets this saga up to actually feel multiversal, because we're not just talking about random thing here and random thing there, but it actually feels unique and independent. And so I think anyone that was setting up this film personally to be the savior of the MCU, don't think any one movie at this point is going to be that. So Fantastic Four does what it needed to do. It sets up these characters, it establishes a different universe, and it prepares us to see these characters again. I'm so incredibly excited to get to see these characters again, and not because their appearance or their inclusion in any future films is a sign of the health, the wellness, the fate of the MCU, but because they feel like real people. And that's always what I've loved about the MCU, is seeing ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances and how in them I can see my own humanity. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love these characters and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, I'd love if you subscribed. I have more Marvel content coming. In fact, this movie and so many of the other things going on with the MCU right now are inspiring me, so there will be a lot to come soon, including a Fantastic Four vlog of me watching all the other movies for the very first time. It's coming, I promise. I just need some time to edit it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night whenever you're getting to watch this, and I will see y'all in my very next video. Bye, guys.